Welcome back to the deep dive. We love taking these really dense collections of classic laws, theorems, principles.
Yeah, the big ideas.
Exactly. And we try to boil them down into something, well, genuinely useful, actionable insights for you.
Hmm.
So today we're diving into a set of concepts that honestly aim to reveal the hidden logic behind why things work out, or why they sometimes just stall.
Right. Why our best efforts sometimes feel like they hit a wall.
Our mission then is to pull out the core wisdom here, to understand logically why we often get stuck and maybe find some levers, ways to move from that feeling of stagnation towards actual success.
And that feeling, it's so common, isn't it? Putting in the hours, really focusing, but the results are minimal. It's frustrating.
Totally.
And this source material suggests that often the complexity of modern life, of work,
hmm
it just kind of obscures the simple truth underneath. We get buried in tasks that don't really matter.
So the important stuff gets lost.
Precisely. Which brings us straight to some classic ideas, like the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Ah, yes, the
Yeah.
famous one.
The idea that typically something like 80% of what we do only generates maybe 20% of the actual value. Meaning,
Meaning most of our effort is basically wasted motion. That sounds a bit bleak.
well, it highlights the challenge, right? Finding that crucial 20%.
Which leads naturally to Occam's razor, doesn't it? The simplest path is usually the best.
Exactly. If most of what you're doing is unnecessary complexity, you need that razor. You need to cut away the fluff ruthlessly to find the effective core.
Be surgical about it.
That's the word. And this idea of finding the essential, oh, well, it sets up our whole discussion today. We've pulled out three really powerful, time-tested laws. They govern our careers, our environments, and importantly, our priorities.
Okay. Master these three, gain some control back. I like it.
That's the idea.
All right, let's get into it. Let's unpack this, starting with the structure of organizations, careers, the Peter Principle.
Right, the Peter Principle, Lawrence J. Peter's big idea. It basically says that in a hierarchy, people tend to get promoted until they reach a job they can't actually do well, their level of incompetence.
Their Peter Zenith sounds rather final.
It does. And the maybe painful consequence he points out is that most of the actual productive work in an organization gets done by people who haven't hit that ceiling yet.
Okay, wow. It sounds harsh, but when you think about the mechanism, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Promotions are nearly always based on how well you're doing your current job.
Exactly. You're a brilliant coder, so
So you get promoted to manage the coding team.
right. But are those the same skills?
Not at all. Being great at code requires precision, focus, individual technical skill. Managing people requires delegation, strategy, empathy, communication. Totally different.
And if you don't have those new skills or can't develop them quickly, you get stuck. You've hit your zenith. You stop being promoted because you're no longer excelling.
So it's less about the employee failing necessarily and more about the organization maybe not recognizing that different levels need fundamentally different talents.
Often, yes. This is a system issue. Look at the historical example they give Marshall Grouchy at Waterloo.
Okay.
This guy rose steadily for 20 years, reliable, competent in his tactical roles. But then, at Waterloo, the big strategic moment, he reached his limit.
It is zenith.
Yeah. He apparently couldn't deviate from his very specific written orders. He lacked that strategic flexibility, that ability to adapt on the fly, and it cost Napoleon dearly. He was promoted because he was reliable.
But reliability isn't strategic thinking.
Exactly.
Yep.
Different competencies.
That's quite a lesson.
Right.
So for you listening, the takeaway here is maybe rethink what success means. Don't let promotion be the only goal.
Right. Sometimes mastering a role you love, where you genuinely excel, is far better for you and maybe even the organization than climbing into a management role just because it's the next step.
Okay. So that's the individual and the hierarchy. But what happens to the environment when leaders or even just systems start hitting their limits? This feels like a good transition to the broken window theory.
It fits perfectly. The broken window theory is all about the power of context, the power of signals. It suggests that if one broken window in a building is left unfixed,
It sends a message.
exactly, it signals that maybe nobody cares. That disorder is acceptable here, and that small signal can lead others to break more windows or commit other small acts of vandalism or neglect. It creates an environment where bigger problems can take root.
Like a slippery slope of standards.
Precisely. And the psychologist, Philip Zimbardo, showed this pretty starkly in an experiment. He left identical cars in different places. The one in a rough area was stripped quickly, but the one in a middle-class area, It was fine until...
Until he broke one window himself.
Yes. Once he deliberately broke just one window, that car was also vandalized and stripped within hours. That single act was the permission slip, the signal that standards had dropped.
Wow. And this scales up, right? The example of New York City in the 90s.
A classic case study, the tipping point. The authorities decided to crack down hard on minor offenses fare, dodging on the subway, graffiti, public disorder.
The broken windows of the city.
Exactly. They started by cleaning up the subway cars, enforcing the small rules. And by fixing those visible signs of disorder, they established a new baseline, a new standard of order.
And the result was?
A dramatic, surprisingly rapid drop in major crime rates. It was controversial, but the correlation was strong.
So the lesson isn't just about crime, is it? It's about standards in general, in our teams, our homes, our own habits.
Absolutely. The environment whispers suggestions to us constantly. If we let small things slide, a missed deadline here, a messy workspace there, a slightly unethical shortcut.
The first broken window.
Yes. We have to fix it immediately. Because failing to address it signals that lower standards are okay, and that can lead to a cascade of bigger failures, like poking an ant's nest, as the source puts it. Chaos erupts from a small disturbance.
Constant vigilance against the small slips. Okay, so Peter Principle. Internal frustration from hierarchy, broken windows, external decay from environment. What about our own internal compass? How do we make sure we're not the source of our own stagnation?
That leads us right into the third concept, the unworthiness law. Or maybe we could call it the law of misaligned effort.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's simple but profound. Things not worth doing are not worth doing well.
Huh. Say that again?
Things not worth doing are not worth doing well. It's psychological. If you feel deep down, cynical or uninspired or just cold about a task, even if you succeed at it, it's probably not going to bring you any real satisfaction.
Because it doesn't mean anything to you.
Exactly. The source suggests 3 key things make a job or project feel worthwhile. First, does it align with your personal values? Second, does it fit your personality, your temperament? And third, can you honestly see hope in it? Potential for growth, for a better future.
And if it fails on all 3 counts?
Then you're likely just going through the motions.
Yeah.
Working towards apathy, essentially, even if you're technically competent at the task.
We all know that feeling. And we definitely practice avoiding the important by focusing on the unimportant, right? Like tackling the easy emails instead of the hard strategic thinking. Can you give a sort of modern example of this law?
Sure. Think about a startup founder. Brilliant idea, maybe. But instead of doing the really hard, crucial work, talking to potential customers, validating the market need, the stuff that actually determines success or failure.
The walnuts.
Yes, the walnuts. Instead, they spend hours tweaking the website font, polishing the logo, agonizing over the perfect shade of blue for a button.
Things they can do well and feel productive doing.
Exactly. It feels easier, less scary than potentially finding out nobody wants their product.
Yeah.
So they do the unimportant task exceptionally well, even though it doesn't move the needle on what truly matters. They get immediate low-stakes satisfaction from the busy work.
That perfectly captures the walnuts and lotus seeds analogy you mentioned. The professor fills the jar. If you put the big rocks, the walnuts, your core priorities in first.
There's still room for the smaller stuff, the lotus seeds, the daily trivia, to fill the gaps.
But if you fill the jar with the sand, the lotus seeds, all the trivial busy work first.
The big important walnuts just won't fit. You've used up all your space, all your energy on things that ultimately don't satisfy or lead to real progress.
Right. And when you put these 3 laws together, Peter Principle, broken windows, unworthiness law, you can really see how stagnation happens, can't you?
Absolutely. That feeling of burnout, of being utterly stuck, it's often a toxic mix. Maybe you're working under a manager who's hit their Peter Zenith. They're incompetent in their role, causing you frustration.
Okay, external pressure.
Then their poor leadership lets standards slip, broken windows start appearing everywhere in the team culture or processes. Things get messy, disorganized.
External decay.
Which then forces you to spend your time on tasks that feel pointless, bureaucratic, or just completely misaligned with what you care about. That's the unworthiness law kicking in.
Internal misalignment and apathy. It's a perfect storm for burnout.
It really is.
So the antidote has to be intentionality, taking conscious control.
That seems to be the core message. You have finite time, finite energy.
Wow.
The unworthiness law especially forces that really crucial question, are you guarding your resources? Are you making sure they go towards your walnuts?
Or are you just letting the lotus seeds, the distractions, the busy work fill up your jar, leaving no room for what actually matters to you?
That's the heart of it.
Okay, this brings us towards wrapping up the takeaways. If we absorb these ideas, how do we become more proactive, less reactive to these forces?
Well, first, based on Peter, we'd say, assess your zenith, honestly. Where do your true strengths lie? And maybe redefine success for yourself. Recognize that deep mastery in a role you love is success. Don't just chase the next rung on the ladder if it leads to incompetence.
And perhaps push for organizations to reward that kind of mastery, not just management potential.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Second, from broken windows, fix immediately.
Ah.
Apply that standard rigorously to your work habits, your team's processes, even your personal life. Don't tolerate the small slips.
Because they signal bigger problems are acceptable.
Exactly. Address them quickly, decisively. Don't let the decay start.
Okay. And third, from the unworthiness law.
Define your worth. Use those 3 factors, value alignment, personality fit, future hope, as a filter for your efforts. Choose work that resonates. And if you can't choose right now, if you're stuck in something unworthy, then embrace the challenge of changing it. Change your perspective if you can. Find meaning where possible, but actively work towards a transition rather than just accepting apathy as your fate. Choose to change, don't just endure.
Choose what you love and love what you choose. Or work towards that.
Precisely.
All right. So, building on that unworthiness law, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Something to chew on this week. Are you, right now, confusing activity with achievement? We all do it. Look at your schedule, your to-do list. What are the absolute biggest walnuts, the 1-3 things that really matter this week?
Identify them clearly.
And then, which lotus seeds, the distracting emails, the minor tweaks, the busy work, can you consciously, maybe even ruthlessly decide not to do, to leave them out of the jar entirely, at least for now?
That focus, that intentional exclusion of the unimportant, that's your starting point for taking back control, for real action.
That feels like a powerful place to start. That's our deep dive for today.
Hope it was helpful.
We'll talk to you next time.